What's going on, guys? This is Kurt Storing from Dad.Work. And you know what? I was just going to shoot a little presentation today because we do a lot of work with a lot of dads. And it's actually pretty difficult to understand what's going on because the thing that we do is so unusual. There's not a lot of guys doing this kind of work. There's not a lot of men talking about this kind of work. But it takes a lot to go from where I was 5-10 years ago into where I am now and where we're bringing our clients along, which is to say being a confident family leader, because I started out absolutely terrible. I started off having no idea what to do, having no idea how to be married, having no idea how to be a dad, and things were terrible for a long time. So I just thought, give you guys a bit of an update, what we're up to, what we're doing, what it looks like to actually become that confident family leader, rather than having to go through like all of our challenges, all of our training, all of my Instagram content, all of our podcasts. I'm just going to break it down real quick, probably like 15-20 minutes, so you guys can get it right here, and then hopefully just apply it to your life. So I'm going to jump into that in a second. All right, we're just going to do this like this. All right, so I'm going to talk today about, I just call this DadOS. It's like an operating system, right? So mostly what happens is we go through life and we're a father, we're a husband, maybe a business owner. We are all these things, and there are certain ways to do things. But what happens is we're running an old operating system, right? We're running an operating system from our parents. Typically, we didn't have a good role model in our father or any other strong men around, and we just don't know what to do. It's like running an old system, and what we need to do instead is just apply what I've now come to call this DadOS, this dad operating system that will literally just turn you in to a confident family leader, great marriage, confidently raising kids who listen, who are respectful, and who grow up with just fire, like a whole different style of child than you've probably seen kids down on their phones wearing pajamas. I don't want to raise kids like that. I know you don't either. So anyway, this operating system is like there's like 4 pillars built on top of a foundation that I'm going to tell you guys about in a minute here. But it was really helpful for me to understand that if you just applied an operating system and then just took action to make it work, things get better. And so I think it's super useful to go through that right now. But I just want to give you guys a quick update. This is me recently. We just had our 4th child, a daughter. Finally, we got 3 boys, 10, 8, 3, and now we've got a daughter who is like almost 5 months old tomorrow, actually, which is insane. Things are going fast, but I can add the hashtag girl dad to my profile now. So can't beat it. It's amazing. We're at the zoo. We're going out. And you know what? Things were not always like this. As you know, if you've heard any of my podcasts, I was terrible. I would yell at the kids. I would be way more focused on what I looked like to the outside world. Was my business looking successful? Did I look successful? Did my marriage look successful? Did I show up perfectly? That was what was important to me. But at home, it was a different story. Like I said, I was angry. I was yelling. I was out of control. I felt awful, and I dreaded every single day. And like, man, there's nothing good about running a business when you know that as soon as you're done, you're going back to crazy land and you start working more. And then you start thinking about it during a work day, and then like productivity drops and your business starts to feel bad, and then everything just feels awful. I dreaded waking up every morning because I was like, another day to screw up. The most important things in my life, my wife and kids. And I thought at some point that I was the worst part of their life and I was going to leave permanently. I'm going to leave you with that. I'm not going to go any deeper in that, but if you've sort of been there, if you've done that, if things are even just like okay right now, but they're not excellent, man, like there's so much work that can be done and there's so much good stuff that you should be doing because guys, as a father, you're irreplaceable, right? Like there's nobody who can come in, no government, no program, no nothing, no mother, no other man who can come in and actually do your job because once dad's out of the picture, there's nothing. So you've got to persevere. You've got to push through. This is so freaking important. But anyway, this is what I was talking about before, right? We're running Windows 95 and nobody even told us there's a new update. You're like, Dad, you were running Windows 95 the whole time. Why didn't you tell me? Maybe your dad was running like a typewriter or something. I don't know. Maybe you're still running that typewriter operating system. But like nobody told you there was another way to do this. And I didn't even realize throughout my journey that I could be a great dad and husband. It's like, well, my dad got like 3 divorces. I guess it's just hard and I guess it sucks. And I guess you just get through it because you're supposed to have a family and that's it. But imagine if you could have an amazing family. Imagine if your family life was way better than even your business life. I know that can be hard to imagine because business is probably where you're putting your time. Your career is probably where you're putting your time. You're good at that. So let's just do more of that. But imagine if family could overtake that as being more important, better, more successful, feeling more fired up, more purpose, more vision, more everything if you just installed the new update. So what we're going to do is Well, first of all, I want you to know that like this didn't just work for me. There's a bunch of guys who've gone through our programs, listened to our podcast, gone through our challenges. Let's just take a look. We've got a buddy here in our coaching program. Amazing date night with the wife last night. Also happened to be her birthday. Amazing shifts happening in the last 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 10 years being married, more raw conversations, falling in love with my wife all over again. Incredible. My good buddy here, 11 days in the program, his wife turns to him and says, "You're back. I'm so happy you're back." And then she says she wants to have another baby with him because she has so much love. And guess what, guys? He came in here on the verge of divorce, playing video games all the time. In a few months, they're now expecting their third child. Incredible. All right. We've got great headspace. Settling in. Can't thank you enough. A wife contacted me with a podcast. He listens to it and comes back a better, more masculine version of himself. We have got Jack down here. It's because of this group that I still have a family. I don't intend to forget that. This group has changed my life, my attitude, my way of thinking. Can't thank you enough. This challenge is indispensable. I thank God for you in this group. I'm never leaving. Where do I sign up for a lifetime membership? That is the sweetest thing. And then, hey, guess what? That's my wife down there on the top right. Double tap to heart. I should have hearted that, but it says your sweet boy was having trouble settling down for bed and came out to do push-ups and squats and whatever's for 5 minutes without saying a word to me. I looked up and I saw a tiny version of you. What a beautiful influence you've had on these boys. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you want? And it's not because I'm so good, okay? It's because I suffered enough to learn what not to do. And it gave me one path out, which was anything but what I was doing right then. Okay, this isn't me being amazing. This is me learning out of desperation. And the entire thing that we do at Dad.Work now, Instagram, we're about to launch a YouTube, which actually this will probably be on. We've got the podcast. We've got like challenges. We've got all this stuff because I don't want you to have to feel completely defeated with your family. I don't want anybody to have to suffer for so long. Like, dude, it was years. And like I said, I almost did the irreversible. It was that bad because I thought the kindest thing I could do for my family was leave them. Now, whether or not you're that bad, whether or not things are that awful, there are things that I have learned in my life that I looked back. I was like, why did things get better? Oh, right, because I did this, this, and this. And I didn't get value out of these 100 other things. So I've broken this down into like 4 things plus a baseline foundation. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance in this, but I mean, you can see, guys, like you can read through this. This works. This is just like a handful of things that guys have told me that I keep to remind me to keep pushing forward because sometimes, man, it can be so hard to talk to dads because you've probably never heard of this stuff before. So if I'm like, hey, do this, this, and this, you're like, bro, why can't I just like work and provide? It's like, bro, do you want a good family or do you want not a good family? Do you want a legacy that matters? Or you just want to like leave some money behind? Like who cares about that? So anyway, I want to show you that just so you know it actually works. And here's the problem, right? We're at A right now, and I'm going to show you what A and B is. And forgive this horrible drawing. Was thinking about getting an iPad. Didn't do it yet. A to B, right? A is where you're at right now, which is probably, if you're like me, you're not leading your family well. You don't even know what to do. You're probably fighting with your wife. Your kids aren't listening. You're not sure how to be that father and have peace and purpose and vision. Actually, you know what? I think I wrote some of this down. No vision. Yeah. Roommates with the wife, probably fighting and bickering with the wife, with the kids, actually both. Usually almost no intimacy. There's probably like some stuff around intimacy as well where like you want it, she doesn't. You're not sure how to communicate that. She resents you for it. I totally get that. Kids aren't listening. Kids give you like one-word responses. Hey, how was school? Good. That means you probably had no influence with them. They don't want to share with you. Purposeless. Even if like you've got the vision, you've got the business, you're not actually sure how to have that purpose in your life. Like I said, no vision. You're feeling empty. Like, dude, is this it? Probably wake up every day with a little bit of dread. Looks like everything's fine on the outside. I had a guy on my podcast who said the curb appeal of your life looks great, but the living room view, not so much. Fear of regret. Like, man, if I don't fix this, if I don't raise great kids and have an amazing wife, am I just going to look back on my life with regret? And dude, that's way worse than any financial loss or burden you can have to look back and realize you wasted a life. And then again, man, it's that idea of like, not sure what to do. And the frustration, the anger that comes with that. I know that was me for a long time. I was like, why can't I just figure this out? I would say, okay, wife, I'm never doing this again. I'm so sorry. And the next day I do it and be like, is there no way out? Do I just have to suffer forever? Where are we going though? Like the A to the B, and there's 5 little steps here, right? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that journey from A to B, and we're going to get into those in a second. But we're looking for a clear vision. We're going to lead your family. Your marriage is going to be fire, like the best part of your entire life. Like honestly, we've been married 11 plus years now. It is so good and so much better than it ever has been, ever, even when we first got married. great communication and support from your wife, tons of intimacy, physical and otherwise. Because here's the thing, man, you can go so much farther if you realize intimacy is not just getting your rocks off, okay? Kids are attentive, respectful, kind, helpful. They tell you things. They want to be with you. Your purpose is clearly defined. You know every day what you're waking up to do. You've got confidence in fatherhood. You're full of life and vitality rather than that dread. You're waking up every day with excitement and gratitude. The curb appeal of your life, hey, might look good. It's nothing compared to reality because you are crushing it. You don't feel regret, confident in your life and your plan, calm, peaceful, clarity, and leadership because you have the answers. Now, how the heck do you get there? Oh, look, newest software, Windows 95, get out of here. We're going to apply the Dad operating system, the DadOS. Here's how we're going to do that, okay? So we're going to go from A to B. Family life is meh or worse. In my case, it was way worse. We're going to take you to become a confident family leader with an intimate marriage, raising great kids, and leaving a legacy that actually matters. Like I said, man, a science building, a university with your name on it, nobody cares. A street with your name on it, nobody cares. Big business with a lot of money, nobody cares if you didn't have a great family, right? So how to install DadOS? There's 4 pillars here based on a foundation. We're going to start with a foundation. That is number 1, the leadership mindset. There is nothing that comes before this. You must get it in your head that you are the leader, that everything runs through, that you are fully responsible, and that you must own everything in your life and the life of your family. So this is one of those things that, man, it took me so long because I was trying to blame. I was shifting the blame. I was defensive. I was like, well, it's not my fault. I don't want to take responsibility for that. But guess what? Things may not be your fault. The way that you were parented, the way that you were raised, the life that you have lived, things happen to you, right? Those things aren't your fault. You didn't deserve the bad things that happened. But here's the thing. You're 100% responsible for dealing with them. Nobody else can come and save you from those things. And once you realize that, and once you grieve the pain of what happened to you so you stop being such a victim, you take on this leadership mindset. And in a family, what that looks like is you are responsible for every decision and the consequences that come from those decisions. You do not put that on your wife, nor your kids, nor the government, nor society, nor anybody else. You have all the responsibility. The buck stops with you. And that means, as a leader, how do you play that out? It means sacrificing. It means serving. It means doing more to take on more responsibility. And guys, the weird thing about this is I call this the do more paradox. The more you do for the right reason, the more energy you have to do more of the right stuff. It's incredible. You feel like, oh, dude, I couldn't do all that. I'm going to be tired. Actually, in my experience, you can do more if you stop doing so much of the wrong stuff. Pick the right stuff and do that. But here's the thing. Guys talk about servant leaders, right? I said the word service there. A lot of guys get this wrong. Servant leader, yes, you lead by serving. But it's not just that. You also need to serve by leading. And that means you have to be able to make hard choices and do the right thing for the right reason, not because you're getting anything out of it. So many guys I talk to are like, well, I just want to make my wife happy. It's like, dude, that's never a recipe for success, because if you're only making her happy, happiness is an emotion. It's something that could pass easily. And is that true? Sometimes it's happy for a good reason, and sometimes it's happy for a reason that's not lining with truth. You've got to be the arbiter on that. You've got to make the decisions whether or not you're going to make a decision based on truth or keeping someone happy. And that is required for leaders. So guys, if you do not have this mindset, adopt it right now. Just say, I am responsible for myself and everything in my family. And then just get to work. Never let yourself be justified into thinking weakness or victim mentality is okay. From this point on, just realize that everything stops with you. Doesn't matter whose fault it is. Doesn't matter if you want to blame your wife or be defensive. Oh, I didn't do that. Hey, what part of this are you complicit in doing? Even if you want to go to the wife example, bro, you picked her. You're totally responsible for that from the get-go. Okay, and so no matter what is her fault or what she did, look, there's a way to lead her into doing her work as well. We'll talk about that at some other time, not right now. But at the end of the day, you are always responsible. And I can always find a reason that would put you in the driver's seat. And that's good news, because a victim will never change. Nothing happens. They always feel bad. But when you are in charge, when you're the leader, you're actually empowered to do something about it. And you will not find yourself struggling forever. So that is the foundation we all need to get. Number 2 is an elite dad habit stack. What does this mean? These are things that you do every single day, non-negotiables that you never miss, because they make you into a man worth following. They make you into the man who is hard to kill, easy to love, and equipped to lead. That is the Dad.Work motto. We're always looking for the perfect balance. hard to kill, easy to love, equipped to lead. And these are the things you do daily, because what you do daily consistently becomes who you are. That future is dictated by what you do in every single moment. And every single moment should be filled with things in the Elite Dad Habit Stack. I'm gonna give you some examples, okay? I like to really put these in the morning as much as possible and then spread the last little bits out throughout the rest of the day, but I will wake up early. Number one, discipline more time in the day to do stuff. I'm exercising and I'm dialing in my nutrition, even if that means like, look, man, you're drinking soda right now, just stop that. That doesn't serve anybody. Or maybe like me, you're tracking your food, you're tracking your macros, and you've got a health coach. Whatever the thing is, get dialed in with that, because nobody likes a dad bod. You want to be around to run with them. You want to be alive long enough. You want to have a good health span, not just a lifespan. Okay, so be hard to kill. Do stuff that's going to make you hard, make you disciplined, be a little bit uncomfortable, so that when going gets tough, you're able to lead through it instead of giving up. Being easy to love though, number one, gratitude. Are you saying 3 things every single day you're grateful for? I do that in the morning. I go on a prayer and a gratitude walk every single day, and I pray and I give thanks, and that just changes my mindset to be positive. After that, it's 2 very actionable steps. I will do one thing, at least one thing, every single day over and above the usual in my routine as a husband to serve and connect with my wife. Maybe it's going to get her a tea. Maybe it's just rubbing her shoulders while she's doing the dishes. Maybe it's looking her in the eyes, saying, babe, I appreciate you so much for what you just did here. It's amazing. I feel so blessed by you. It's a compliment. It's, sending her away to a girls' night or getting her a massage or something like that. It's one thing that's over and above. It's flowers. She's like, what? Why are you doing this? And you're like, well, because I'm a good husband. I love you. That's it. No expectation of reciprocation, though. You do not do this to get anything. You do it because that's what good husbands do. Next is serving and connecting with the kids. How are you going to do that? Just have 5 or 10 minutes of one-on-one playtime when you get home from work. Put everything down, put your phone down, go play with cars with the little kids. Go and throw the football with your older kids. Go do something with them such that they are connected and you are talking to them and feeling what they're feeling and actually engaged in their life every single day without fail. If you do that, you cannot help but be closer to everyone. Now, equipped to lead, a couple things that I do, reading every single day. All leaders are readers. I know it's a cliche, but it's absolutely true. I do scripture reading in the morning, and then I'm reading at night as well. I like to read stuff like business books, stuff on how to become a better husband and father. Obviously, I'm reading Teddy Roosevelt's biography right now. Those are great, how other leaders lead. And once you do that, that's about it for the end of the day, because I bookmark that. But there's a couple things in between there. Number one is intention. This helps me lead because every day I'm going, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? What am I going to do to be that? And I just start every single day with that as I'm doing my gratitudes. Who do I want to be? And the thing for me in this program, at least, is hold yourself accountable. Okay, and if you can't do that because you don't have a program or a coach, number one, go and get one. It's so helpful to know that there are eyes on you, not only to push you, but to support you when you need the support. So ask a friend to be an accountability partner, be like, hey bro, we're going to do this Elite Dad Habit Stack. Will you hold me accountable? Or hire a coach or use an app or something to be held accountable, because leaders are not just on their own little island. If you don't have a lot of men speaking into your life, you are missing out big time. Okay, so get something that's going to build you up and being hard to kill, easy to love, and equipped to lead. That is pillar number 1, but step number 2 of the dad operating system. This part is so necessary because you've got the habits, sure. And a lot of guys are like, I'm just going to be disciplined. Let's go. And willpower will get you a long way. I've got rock solid discipline and rock solid willpower. But man, I will struggle to keep it going when the going gets tough if I do not have this, the leadership and legacy framework. What is this? I consider it like a business plan for my family. Every business I've started, I've had spreadsheets, I've had KPIs, I've had plans, I've had goals. When I became a father and a husband, I was like, I guess I'll figure it out. I didn't even think about this stuff, right? But it's so important because here's what a leadership and legacy framework is and what it does. It is a map of who you are, where you're going, how you're going to get there. You are going to be doing everything from your values to your goals as a husband, to your goals as a father, to what you're going to look like in 10 years, how you're going to get there in every step of the way, what your life looks like in a whole bunch of different areas out of 10, for example, so that you can then ratchet them up and get them one by one into actionable goal items that you can then knock off to become a better leader. Dude, this is a map. If you do all this and you vision all this and you print it out and just put it in a binder and follow this for the rest of your life, this should give you the map to constantly be moving forward so that you can lead your family successfully and confidently. This is a non-negotiable. So start writing. It doesn't matter if you have a plan right now. We do this inside of the brotherhood that we've got. We coach men through this where it's like, first of all, start out with your eulogy from your kid's point of view. Next, go into like a 10-year vision of who you want to be, like super detailed. Then do a self-audit on your life right now out of like 10 different areas of your life, fitness, finance, relationships, all that kind of stuff. Out of 10, where are you? Why? How are you going to get to a 10? And in fact, before you do the how, you got to figure out what a 10 actually looks like. So there's so much work in here, right? That gives you an identity. Who are you really? Have you ever thought about that? Do you know your values? Do you know your goals in marriage and parenting? All of these things go into this document. And then this informs what you do every day. But the things you do every day help you get to here. And so the lifelong goals that we're building, the leadership and legacy framework, tie in perfectly with the daily habits, and they just mesh so that if you do the daily habits, they lead to the long-term goal. But if you have the long-term goal, it pulls you forward in the daily habits and everything works perfectly. This is why you probably don't have discipline if you've tried and failed with habits, is because there's no why. There's nothing long-term, nothing bigger to aim for so that when the going gets tough in the moment, you're like, wait, no, I don't want that piece of cake. My plan includes being fit so I can be with my grandkids when I'm like 100. And if I have this cake now, I will prove to myself that I do not have what it takes. I do not trust myself, and I do not have the body that it's going to take to be healthy. So all of these little moments have to be tied to the big picture goals. Otherwise, you're going to be able to justify weakness in the moment. So tie the goals to the framework. The next step of this is you have to be an expert in relational skills. I liken it like this. We're kind of like a captain of a ship, right? As a family leader, as a father. So you've got the leadership mindset. You are a savage. You're like, I'm going to work so hard. I got all the habits down. You're rowing your boat. You've even got a map. Like, dude, you know where you're going. You know exactly sort of how to get there. You can work super hard. You've got all the habits to do it, and you're taking responsibility. Well, guess what? A squall comes up. There's a huge storm. And you're like, I only know how to row. I don't know how to like bail water out of the boat. I don't know what to do when like the waves are, I don't know what angle to position the boat. Well, what happens is you can be as disciplined and hardcore and savage as you want to be, but if you don't know how to actually be in relationship with your wife and kids, you're going to fail. You're going to be capsized. And that is so missed today. So many guys are just like the Jocko, go be harder, try harder, nobody cares, good. And I love Jocko for that. It's so necessary. And a lot of men are soft and they need that. But what they also need is how to do the thing. This is communicating with your wife, resolving conflict, setting boundaries. Do you even know how to parent your children? What does a father do? What is your role? Do you even know that? How are you supposed to be married? If you didn't see that from your mom and dad, you probably have no idea what that looks like. So how are you going to tell if you're doing a good job? Do you know how to discipline your children? Are you emotionally masterful in such a way that you are not triggered by your kids when they push back, which they're going to do? Like all of these relational skills, yeah, we should have learned them from our dad, but guess what? He only gave us Windows 95. You're going to have to do the work to install DadOS, okay? I read like dozens, maybe hundreds of books on this stuff. I went through coaches and courses and workshops and a whole bunch of weird like psychological this and that and the other thing. And I tried to learn as much as I could. And 90% of it was total garbage. Didn't work at all. But there are some things that worked. And that is what I focus on. And those categories that I just gave you, just rewind them. And if you want to do this alone, man, like go and find books and podcasts and people, get the skills, and then importantly, put them into action. Because so many guys are like, well, I tried boundaries once and my kids rebelled. It's like, well, yeah, they're supposed to do that. Didn't you know that? And the guys are like, oh, no. But they stop. They stop doing the thing that's going to work because they don't persevere. So if you find a thing, try it for long enough to really be sure it's bearing the fruit that you want it to, and then make that a staple in your life. But you got to try. There is so much in parenting and marriage, especially, that if you just were better at the emotional side of things and the communication side of things, you wouldn't fight so much. They'd listen to you more. You'd have more influence. Things would be gravy. So guys, put all the time that you can, once you've done the other stuff, into learning how to be an expert in relation. Now, final piece of the puzzle. And you're going to be like, oh, bro, I'm a lone wolf. I don't need anybody. I'm a self-made man. Look, I get it. You've got to be the alpha. Absolutely. You've got to lead. Absolutely. But absolutely no lone wolf raises cubs. You will never reach your potential if you do not have a tribe or a brotherhood around you. If you are not following mentors and coaches who have been where you have been and succeeded, who have a life that you want to live, then you're never going to get there. Or if you do, it's going to waste so much time when you could just follow them. There is something about brotherhood. This was the thing for me that went from like kind of neutral, I'm banging my head against the wall, I don't know what's going on, I'm there, I just can't do it, to being like, oh, there's this whole other plane. There's this whole other level that when you get around other good men, they will support you, they will challenge you, and they will hold you accountable in a way that you just can't do alone. I don't care how tough you think you are, how much of a lone wolf you think you are, how much men have hurt you in the past. This is a big one. There are good men out there and you need to find them. This is what I am doing in my own personal life still. I have joined men's group for years. I've got coaches. I have got mentors. I run masterminds and brotherhoods like this, and I'm just around men all the time, and I'm seeking them for their skills and knowledge and wisdom, because why would I want to learn the hard way? I did that for years, and it almost cost me everything, my family, my life, my business, everything. Why would I not tap into men who have what I need? And even if it's just peers, even if it's guys who could just have your back, there is something so powerful about this. It is a complete and utter lie that men need to be lone wolves. It is a complete lie to keep you docile, to keep you controllable, to keep you weak. Okay, because you could be the strongest individual human, but if there's a group of men who come after you, you're gonna lose. So imagine if you had the positive version of that. You are as hardcore as you need to be, and you've got a team of brothers. You'll be unbeatable. Because here's the thing, as men, as fathers especially, we carry way more than we can carry, right? We've got a pack on our shoulders of our family, we've got our own stuff, and our capacity is usually way taxed out. So if I'm like at 1,000% capacity, I'm never gonna drop that load, right? I'm a dad. I'm gonna take my wife and my kid and everything and put all the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I'm never dropping that. But guys, when you're carrying 1,000% of your capacity and you're supposed to be carrying 100, that can wear you down. What happens when you get around another group of men? Each one of these men, let's say there's 10 guys there, they can take a little bit of that off. Maybe they take some, this guy over here takes some. They come beside you, and as rocks for you, when you are so used to being a rock, they can support your load for just a moment there, so you can get a breather, you can reshuffle your pack, you can let some things off, and you can then show up better for your wife and your kids and your business. There is absolutely nothing like brotherhood, and I highly, highly encourage you to find something locally, to start something locally, or to join a coaching group online, a brotherhood, a men's group, whatever you can find. You've got to be around men. It's absolutely non-negotiable. So there's a couple things though. You've just installed the DadOS, the Dad operating system. Congratulations. Things are ticking along. You see that progress bar lining up and you get it and you're like, yo, antivirus. What about all the stuff that's coming to ruin this? Here's what you need to watch out for. Old patterns. Always, there's going to be things that come up from your past that you don't even know you're doing until it creates conflict with your wife or your kids. These are things like limiting beliefs, who you believe yourself to be, how you act in a stressful situation that don't come up often, but do create damage in relationship. Just be aware of these things and be able to approach them with love and compassion in yourself and forgiveness. You can explain them to your wife. Hey, you know what, babe? I noticed that I did this the other day. It's because I'm actually feeling a certain way based on how my dad treated me. And I know that's crazy, but I'm going to need to work through that. And please be patient with me. Just watch out for old patterns coming up. Unset assumptions is very similar. You've seen how your family operates. Your wife comes from a totally different family background. You both have assumptions about what a husband and a wife does, right? You're going to do one thing, she's going to do another, and you're going to look at each other and go like, are you dumb? Like, how dare you do that? Because that's not what I expect of you. But if you just talked, if you're like, well, my assumptions for a husband is that he does this, this, and this. And she's like, well, like my dad did this, and that's why I assume from you, you're going to do this. So just communicate these things. Unset assumptions are killers. Communicate these, set expectations. Limiting beliefs is another one. Like, oh, well, you know, my dad never did this, or he always told me I couldn't do this, or like he never let me do this. So I guess I can't actually, you know, be a hardcore family leader because I just don't have what it takes. That's garbage. You get to decide who you are and how you lead your family. Separate yourself from all of these things and aim higher. Put your trust in God. Know that He's got you. He's got a plan for you. Stop limiting yourself because, man, there's so much more out here. But when you do this work, you'll find these limiting beliefs in your journaling, in your introspection, and you'll be able to nail them and write new stories on top of them. Waning discipline and motivation. You know what? Doesn't matter. Because if you do the leadership and legacy framework, if you get that done, you won't need discipline and motivation. You will be so driven. There will be a need inside of your body to be like, I can't miss. I can't miss because my life is on the line here with now who I know who I want to be. Crabs in a bucket mentality. Watch out for people in your family, your friends will be like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you doing all this extra work? Like, you don't need to do that. Come drinking with us, bro. Like, what do you mean you're not going to have some cake at the party? What do you mean you're not going to, stay out late when the wife needs your help? You're going to have people who don't get it, who feel called out because of the changes you're making. Don't worry about that. No fear of man. Just do the right thing. Always do the right thing. Do not take your foot off the gas. There's a number of guys that I've worked with. They're like, man, this is awesome. It's working. Now I'm good. Well, guess what? The reason that things are good is because you're doing certain things. As soon as you stop doing things, trust starts to erode. And your wife's like, well, I thought you were better, but like, wow, you clearly don't care that much because you just wanted to put a little bit of work in and now you're done. Every single day, you are up every single day doing the right thing for the right reason because you are a great man, husband, and father. That has to happen all the time. And when you are in the good spot, do not take your foot off the pedal. Always do more and give thanks that things are good, knowing that they're good because of the way you're showing up, and make it a lifestyle. And you cannot take too long, guys. I've worked with too many men who waited until the last possible second. And they're like, I need some help fixing my marriage and my family. I'm like, okay, great, we can help, but like, it's really your wife's one foot out the door. You can't guarantee this to be successful. And a couple of those guys, like, no matter what they did, the wife is going to leave them. So do not take too long. Find a way to fast track this somehow. Work with us. Go find a coach somewhere, whatever you need to do. Don't take too long because your wife might be halfway out the door. Your kids do not stop growing. Okay, if it takes you from the time they're like 6 to 12, you've missed such a huge opportunity to have influence over them. At some point, I've never seen it be too late, but at some point, like, it's almost too late. You know what I mean? You're going to lose the influence with them and with their friends. If they become teenagers and you're not doing this work, you haven't connected to them, they're probably not going to reach back out to you until like they're much older and they realize that you have made changes and they forgive you. But like, that's such a hard process. You've got to do the work now because your kids aren't getting any younger. They're not going to wait for you forever. I tell my guys, always over communicate. A lot of women are like, I just wish my husbands would communicate. And the guys are like, well, I said hello to you. What more do you want? A husband over communicating is like the same level where a wife is like, oh, you just became human, like the bare minimum. So guys, over communicate what you think you should because your wife wants to hear from you and she wants to know you're thinking about her such that you are willing to share your life with her. Over communicate and then trust. Here's the thing. Yes, I work with guys, and we've got guys, and there are guys out there who break trust all at once through infidelity or something like that. Of course, that exists. But what is way more common is losing trust one paper cut at a time. I hit the snooze button, even though I told my wife I was going to the gym at 5 a.m. She asked me to pick up milk. I forgot because I was too busy on my phone working. Like all these teeny tiny things where you're like, well, it doesn't matter. I'll just go do it now. That is a trust killer. I call it the snooze button trust trap, okay? You tell your wife something, you're gonna wake up at 5 a.m, go to the gym, you hit that snooze button, that doesn't affect you, it affects her. She's like, I can't even trust him with the small things. He can't even be trusted with the small things. She's gonna pull back from you and try and feel safe by herself because you're not offering a piece of safety. You cannot stop once you start to do everything to keep your wife and your kids feeling safe. Do not lose trust. Here's the thing. You've taken decades to get to this point in your life, right? You're not going to change in 5 minutes. That's okay. You've got to be able to understand that yourself. You're going to be able to have to communicate that to your wife as you start doing this work. But here's the thing. You're going to be able to do it way faster than I did. I did this all alone. I figured this out all by myself until I joined a men's group, and then things still took years, okay? Because I was just going through everything that I could find to see if it works. That being said, even if you can do it in like 6 months rather than like 6 years like I did, it's still a long ball game. There's going to be things that come up and you have to stay committed. You have to persevere because that's where the magic happens. Do the right thing for the right reason over and over again. Put time and consistency on top of that. It's a winning formula every time, but a lot of guys get discouraged. Do not get discouraged. It's a long ball game. I put 75 dad here because guess what? A lot of guys are like, oh, bro, you doing 75 hard? I'm like, 75 hard? Bro, I'm doing 75 dad. The difference is it's not 75 days, it's 75 years. Let's go. That is where we're at as a father. It never turns off. You'll never get away from being a dad. I don't care how old your kids are. Buckle up, love the journey, and get smashing. Now you've got a couple of options. You can just go and do everything that I said, and you can do it alone, and you can hope that you pick the right books, and you hope that you pick the right courses and the right podcasts, and you can hope that your wife and your kids are going to stick around while you do it. That's the slow way, okay? And that's fine. That's mostly how I did it until I found men's group and mentors and stuff like that. Or you can just like download it because I've got the zip file right here, okay? If you want to do it fast, you can do it with us. We have an option to join us inside the Dad.Work Brotherhood where we do this work with you and just give you the playbook so you can download it, press the action button, and get to work living it out. You don't have to think about what the next step is. You don't have to worry about what the next book is. You don't have to worry about what the next course is. I'll just give it to you, okay? Not only that, I'll help coach you through it, and there will be a group of men to do it with you. Here's what it's gonna look like, okay? You're gonna go from failing at fatherhood, marriage, leadership, and family to family being the best part of your life. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it can very well be true. I'm living proof. A bunch of the guys I've worked with are living proof. You saw those testimonials in the beginning. What you're gonna get is a foundation and the 4 pillars, like I just said: leadership, habit stack, leadership and legacy framework, the skills, and the brotherhood. You're gonna get all of that. There's a course. There's 2 courses actually. There's a skills training course and a course running you through how to make your own leadership and legacy framework so that you can have all the skills and all the leadership development required to actually do this well. You're gonna get a habit stack, daily and weekly accountability you will not be able to miss because I'm gonna be seeing what you're doing every day. You're gonna be sharing what you're doing every day with the guys in the group. There's a community we run through Slack, literally 24/7 access to anything you need: support, questions, sharing wins, networking with guys, business questions, whatever you want, drop them in there. You're always going to be supported. 2 group coaching calls every single week with me and the other guys. And then of course, support from me along the way. I'm always available for specific questions. We can dive into like, hey, my kid did this and I didn't know how to respond. What do I do? Or my wife's telling me this, I'm not sure how to rebuild trust. Or like, how do we get more intimacy in marriage? Or, how are you balancing work? Whatever you want, I'm going to be there for you the whole way. All right. If this is interesting to you, and look, we don't work with everyone. It's a pretty small, tight-knit group. There's an investment in time, investment in finances. It's not the right fit for everybody. But if this is at all interesting to you, 20 minutes out of your day, that's all it takes to book a call with me. I'll just run through this roadmap and see how it applies to your life. And if there are quick wins that you can apply right now, then just take them and run. But if you're like, man, I know that I cannot wait anymore, because look, you're either going to invest in time or money. And, if you run a business, you're good in your career, like whatever the case is financially, it's one or the other. Time, cheaper. Money, faster. And at this point, if you're watching this video, I'm not going to scare you or whatever, because you're probably in a different place than I was, but I didn't have time. And it's only by the grace of God that my wife trusted me and loved me enough to forgive and stay with me. I'm incredibly lucky, and I know a lot of men who are not that lucky. So if this is remotely useful, there's a link below this call. Go to my Calendly, book a 20-minute slot, and we'll just chat. The roadmap, your family, what we could do. And if it's a good fit, I may invite you to work with us inside the Brotherhood. It's a coaching program with everything I just laid out. All right, and like I said, you're gonna pay with time or money. If you got the resources, it makes a lot more sense to pay with money, because again, you might not be able to wait for much longer. And the ROI for something like this, first of all, dude, you're gonna be way better in business because you're not gonna be so dragged down by all these terrible thoughts about how bad you are at family. So immediate ROI there with productivity, way cheaper than divorce, way cheaper than therapy for your kids and your wife and you when things don't get better 5-10 years from now, way cheaper than the cost of regret for not having done something when you could have. You've heard this before. The definition of hell is meeting the man you could have become when you're on your deathbed. Don't let regret steal this from you. Leave a legacy that truly matters. And I said this before. So many guys are like, oh, I want to have my money. I want to have this. I want to have that. You know what legacy actually matters? A loving family. A loving family that you set up against all odds. Nobody taught you how to do this. Nobody was there for you. You had to be the foundation, and yet you did it. You set up the foundation that your wife and kids are going to run the rest of their lives on, and your grandkids' lives and your great-grandkids' lives. And they're going to look back and be like, man, I'm so thankful for Grandpa. Like, man, he came from this hard family and he just buckled up and did this. Dude, you are the foundation for your family. Nobody can do this work for you. This is the greatest gift you could give your family, your lineage. Leaving a legacy that truly matters, it's way more than just money. All right, let's wrap this up. Hopefully that was useful for you guys. You got a foundation, you got 4 pillars. You can put everything I just said into action right now. That's what I did. That's what worked for me. That's what I see working with all of the guys who are in our programs, and it just keeps working. Okay, so there's nuance to all of this. Obviously, I can't go into everything in like a 40-minute video, a little bit longer than a 15-20 minute we said at the start, but I can't go into everything. So you can do the work yourself, and I'll pray for you, but you could also do it with us. All right, you can join the Dad.Work Brotherhood. We'll run you through all this. We'll coach you through it. And I'd love to have you book a call and chat with me to see if it's a good fit. So if this has resonated with you, number 1, take action. Go do everything we just talked about. Number 2, book a call, and we'll chat soon.